If Ruslana Korshunova was still alive, she would undoubtedly be a perennial super beauty on the model rankings. When she debuted at the age of 16, she was nicknamed Russian Rapunzel in the industry because of her knee-length natural chestnut-colored silky hair. At the same time, she is also hailed as the muse of the contemporary fashion world. With a pharaoh-like appearance and a princess-like stature, before she reached 20, she had secured endorsements for several major brands. Among them, her perfume advertisement for Nina Ricci was hailed as a classic. But everything came to an abrupt end in the early morning of June 28, 2008. Ruslana, just 4 days shy of her 21st birthday, jumped from a 9-story apartment in Manhattan, New York, and died on the spot. When the apartment's security found her, they found that Ruslana was not only disheveled in her clothing, but her beautiful long hair had also been cut. Afterward, there were widespread rumors about what Ruslana had gone through that led to her suicide, such as being sexually assaulted by gangsters, being forced into prostitution, and other conspiracy theories. In 2019, a Russian investigative journalist named Elena Kostyuchenko from Novaya Gazeta revealed on Facebook an investigation she participated in. A heartbreaking and dark story finally came to light. On July 2, 1987, Ruslana was born in Almaty, Kazakhstan. Her father passed away when she was 5 years old, and her mother raised her and her brother, who is 8 years older than her. She can speak fluent Russian, English, and German. In 2003, All Asia magazine published a photo of Ruslana while reporting on a German club in Almaty. Debbie Jones from Models One modeling agency happened to flip through the magazine on an airplane and noticed her. After making several efforts to find the girl she described as beautiful as a mythical character, she signed the then 15-year-old Ruslana as a model. The cheerful and lively Ruslana, with the support of her mother, started model auditions, going all the way from Moscow and Milan to the big stage in New York. Ruslana's appearance fits the trend of elfin-faced models. Back then, the British version of Vogue already considered her an exciting face. The fame brought money, allowing Ruslana's mother and brother to live a good life. In just a few years, she bought an apartment in Manhattan's financial district and was busy sending money to her mother and brother every week. She contacts them every day. Even though Ruslana has achieved success and wealth, she still misses her old life, family, and friends. Her mother, Valentina, says that she has a close relationship with her daughter and they talk about everything. She is a very ambitious child, takes every job seriously, and is always looking for the next opportunity to achieve even greater success. But her mother didn't know that Ruslana, who left home at a young age, didn't have as happy and smooth a life in New York as she said she did. After Ruslana jumped from a building and passed away, her model friend, who remained anonymous, accepted an interview and said, "In Paris, Milan, and New York, wealthy businessmen often held dinners and invited us for free. Ruslana and I both attended because back then we were just starting as poor models, and it was the only opportunity for us to eat good food." When the news of Ruslana's suicide by jumping off a building came out, many media outlets conducted investigations. They discovered that a large number of young female models were recruited by companies from various countries to the United States. However, they were only provided with cheap accommodations and meager hourly wages. Being hungry and exploited was the norm. After Ruslana, who once went hungry, became famous, she encountered more wealthy businessmen hunting her. Free island trips, VIP booths in nightclubs, men chased after the teenage girl, wanting to try something new. In the end, Ruslana was pursued by a rich man who called himself Alexander. He was already married but lied that he had separated from his wife, swearing he would divorce her to marry Ruslana. This 18-year-old girl brought him home to meet her mother and brother, believing his promise. However, after living together for more than a year, Alexander found a new young girlfriend and promptly dumped Ruslana. Her friends said, suddenly she became just one of the 1,000 girls he had, meaning nothing at all. Unluckily, 20-year-old Ruslana has already passed the golden age when the fashion circle adores young girls the most. She is facing transformation and competition. At this time, she encountered her second romance, with a Russian businessman who runs a luxury car business in New York. According to the description given by Ruslana's friends, She truly loves her boyfriend, but he isn't much different from the wealthy businessman she was with before. Facing a career bottleneck and tormented by these two relationships, 20-year-old Ruslana lost a significant amount of weight and gradually approached the brink of collapse. In the spring of 2008, feeling mentally unwell, Ruslana returned to Moscow. By chance, she and her Ukrainian model friend Anastasia Drozdova heard about a spiritual course that was popular in the modeling circle. Out of curiosity, they decided to sign up. They entered Rose of the World, an organization established in Russia. The founder and mentor, Vladislav Novgorodtsev, attracted wealthy individuals from all walks of life with spiritual courses wrapped in religious trappings. 3 months later, Ruslana returned to New York. Just when friends thought she would get back to her normal state, the young lady soon jumped from her 9th-floor apartment, ending her short life. Her clothes were disheveled, her signature long hair was cut off, and the place where she eventually landed didn't match physical calculations. For a while, rumors such as Ruslana sold herself and then jumped off a building, Ruslana was sexually assaulted and then jumped, and Ruslana was kidnapped by a gang and escaped by jumping started to circulate. There's no topic more attention-grabbing than the tragic death of a 20-year-old young woman. Ruslana's mother rushed to New York and tearfully told the media that her daughter was wrongfully killed. She believed it was a murder. She couldn't believe that her daughter, who had just spoken with her not long before and expressed her intentions to continue her studies and work, would choose to commit suicide. She was so young, had so many plans, it's impossible. However, after the FBI's on-site investigation and autopsy, there were no suspicions at the scene. There were no drug residues found in Ruslana's body, including her landing position. It's speculated that she ran at a faster speed in her last moments and rushed out of the balcony. The case was quickly closed. Her mother held a funeral for her and took her ashes back to Moscow for burial. The news of Ruslana's death caused a great discussion in the New York modeling community that year. Advocacy for caring for young models, opposing exploitation, and emphasizing mental health intervention continued. After the news reached Kazakhstan and Russia, it attracted the attention of Novaya Gazeta investigative journalist Elena Kostyuchenko. While going through the interview materials of Ruslana's friends, Elena discovered someone mentioning a religious spiritual organization called Rose of the World. So, she decided to personally infiltrate the organization to investigate and find out what Ruslana experienced in the 3 months before her passing. However, to be on the safe side, before undergoing the 5-day spiritual practice, a psychologist provided Elena with training, insisting that she meet with the psychologist every day after the spiritual practice to share what she had seen and heard. The 5-day spiritual retreat officially began. Elena, with a mini camera hidden in her chest, entered the Rose of the World headquarters. According to her recollection, the entire classroom was extremely dim, the windows were covered with black cloth, and dozens of people were divided into groups of 5. They came from all walks of life, including beautiful female anchors and somewhat wealthy businessmen. She said that on the first day, the founder gave everyone a show of authority. Everyone sat together and heard the instructor roar, "The weak cannot pass my training, and their fate will be miserable." After this, a complete brainwashing process officially began. Under the instructor's slogans, group members sat and stood up together, repeating for several hours, during which the instructor shouted empty phrases like "unite as one," "overcome obstacles," and so on. Then, the group sat in a circle, sharing their darkest experiences and thoughts in life, and swore, to protect the privacy of the group members, "We won't discuss the training content with anyone outside the organization." In the 12-hour-long training, there was only a brief lunch break at noon, and smoking was not allowed. Anyone caught would be labeled a failure and driven out. Elena said, "On the first day, this guy made me very angry. He kept reciting meaningless quotes and regularly singled out participants to berate. So stupid." Elena said that after the grueling training on the first day, she was so exhausted that she couldn't think. She just mechanically repeated the slogan required by the instructor, "There's something wrong with me." After the day ended, when she communicated with the psychologist, she confidently said, "It's not a cult at all, just a bunch of yelling and confused adults." But the psychologist asked me, "Why didn't you smoke?" The whole day is over, why not smoke? I realized that I had started to be influenced, frequently reflecting on what the instructor said, feeling that there's something wrong with me. To be honest, I don't remember the details of the subsequent 3 days at all. The only thing I recall is that when I and others couldn't win in the games, the instructor said, "I'm afraid to take responsibility, I should feel ashamed." So, I lay on the ground crying uncontrollably, feeling that I was terrible. Other members also began to admit they were losers, with too many flaws, and they couldn't help but cry. I even thought about revealing my undercover identity, feeling sorry for everyone who stood by the principle of unity. I shouldn't have betrayed them and hoped they can forgive me. After the 4th day, I started arguing with the psychologist in her office, trying to prove to her that we were wrong, that the organization was good, everyone just wanted to become better people and help each other out. Those who commit suicide are the weak ones, and the mistakes in their lives are their fault. Seeing Elena's condition deteriorate rapidly, the psychologist stopped her before the 5th day of spiritual practice and notified her colleagues at the newspaper to keep an eye on her. Elena said, "At that time, I felt especially sorry for the members of the spiritual group, and the shame was unbearable." Things got worse. In the following weeks, Elena went through a period of intense self-loathing and depression, unable to take interest in anything and feeling utterly despondent. Everything I was afraid of seemed magnified: the night, spiders. I couldn't even go out to take the subway to work. I thought, if I jumped off a building, all the pain would end. But I realized that I didn't even have the strength to climb to the windowsill. I couldn't even die, and that felt even more hopeless. Elena was fortunate in the end. A psychologist intervened in time, and she was successfully discharged after a month and a half. However, she said, "A lot of the sunshine in me has faded, and my depression relapsed later on." Because she was worried that her condition would affect her work and reputation, Elena did not publicly share her experience. It wasn't until 2019 that she mustered the courage to share her story, hoping to let everyone understand some of the similar experiences Ruslana went through before her suicide, as well as the terrifying influence of cults on people. The determined investigative journalist, Elena, was tormented like this after only 4 days of spiritual practice. It's hard to imagine the kind of devastating blow that 3 whole months of spiritual practice would have inflicted on Ruslana. Ironically, so many years after Ruslana's death, the Rose of the World organization was merely disbanded. The founder started anew, launching a new psychological therapy training course, and remains active. Ruslana's mother, to this day, does not believe her daughter committed suicide and thinks it was murder. In a way, perhaps she's right. From a young age, she depended on her mother and brother. She began working away from her hometown before reaching adulthood. In the glamorous entertainment industry, beauty brought her fame and fortune, but it also made her a target because of her beauty, eventually leading her to be played and manipulated. When she sought self-rescue, she fell into a new abyss. 3 whole months of spiritual practice constantly telling her you have problems, it's your fault if you commit suicide left her in a shell-like mental state. Before Ruslana's death, she cut off her signature long hair and resolutely jumped from the balcony of the 9th floor. The fairy with long hair descended to the mortal world, endured countless tribulations, and then returned to heaven. Beautiful girl, may you rest in peace.